I know that when we left our home in 1939, my mother was the strongest in the family, and I think that part of it was that she did not have a profession, business, and she didn't. She was not too attached to any material things that a lot of the rest of the family were. Most of my other aunts and the rest of the family, they were either professional people or in business. And they did not get up as easily as my mother to say, we're going to leave tomorrow and we leave everything.
Because they felt that they had more to lose.
Yeah, they were attached to some of these things. My mother decided, you have to think that we want to escape, and to escape you get up and leave.
And did you guys successfully escape then?
We left our home and we went first to a big farm. I had an uncle who was a professional agronomist. He was running some big estate, but my mother decided that Hitler is least likely to be bombing farms than cities. Her first decision was to go into the country, which was, and then we were just running away. When we came there, my uncle told us, don't unpack because we're not staying here either.
Yeah.
The war was on already, and
you had to get out.
We just started going east. My key recommendation, I don't think that you need it, but my key recommendation is to enjoy every day, because we never know what is ahead, and every moment that we are going through right now should be cherished and appreciated.
Me personally, I would say that my generation is a lot more open-minded, I think, than a lot of generations. Not in the sense that we're better people or anything like that. More of just things are more accepted. People more accept more, like, that's the way it is, sort of things, rather than fighting to hold on to old morals or thought processes. I think that's one way that it's changed. We're concerned with our immediate problems because they are immediate. It's easier to see what's right in front of your face than peering around it to see what's behind, But I think the world in general is moving towards a more accepting sort of place, There's already so much less racism and so much less prejudice. There's still a lot of it. But I think each generation that continues, it kind of is one thing that gets broken down more and more,
I've always been one of those kids who was like I guess you would call it a hyper-awareness of my own mortality. Not like I would have phobias of not like I have phobias of everything, but I'm very, very aware that I could die at any time, at any place, from a variety of causes, especially, with it advances, as many advances as we've made in medicine, the technology we have could also kill us. Well, I think we should be looking past what's going to make me happy, but what's going to make the world better.
Yeah.
And, we've made a lot of advances in medicine, we've made a lot of advances in technology, and we've made a lot of advances in transportation and everything. But what can we do to continue to make the world better? Now that we've made those advances in transportation and technology, what can we do to make them, or to reduce the impact that they're having on our environment, where our children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren are going to have to live unless we
everybody. I think that slowly it'll become more complicated because, now I think we're starting to realize, like as a generation and as a culture, we're starting to realize that we aren't a specific, like if we're gonna categorize ourselves like I am blue, you are red, we are like he is yellow, like we're starting to realize that maybe we're a little green, maybe we're a little orange, like we start to overlap and like not be like, oh, I am different, therefore you are wrong. It's just like, oh, I'm like this, but you're kind of like me, but you're kind of like that other person too. So we're starting to realize that like categories don't exactly work anymore.
Well, like you talk about.
Most of them, they don't have their own house. They made themselves too old or too young. My husband made himself 5 years younger. And I never knew.
Never? How do you know now?
When we came to America, we were talking. I told my brother-in-law, I said, Simon was born in 1932. He started laughing. He said, Simon was born in 1927.
What?
I said, Tom, he's 10 years older than me. He said, yeah. I said, Simon, why did you lie to me? He said, the 5 years that I was in concentration camp in the ghetto don't count.
A role in like telling us that we have the opportunity and in a way a responsibility to create good change in the world and not forget horrific things like the Holocaust and learn from them and make sure they never happen again. Because growing up at U, I heard I did hear Holocaust survivors speak at my temple occasionally, and they always said never forget the past. Create a better tomorrow, and you take that and you put it in your head, but it doesn't really like stick the same way it does when you actually like have a conversation with someone like how you survived the Holocaust.
It's just like you learn about it in school and it's such a horrible thing, but then once you actually like develop a relationship with a person that's actually been there, it just becomes so much more real. And I mean, it's still hard to like believe that happened, but just from hearing the stories, like when her husband was exposed to all those chemicals, and even when she talked about how she didn't even know her husband's age because he said that the 5 years where he was in one of the camps, they didn't count in his life. And I don't know, that just really took me back. And it's just so real, but it was such a long time ago, and it just helps me appreciate what we have now.
The United States is either a place of freedoms and opportunities, a place for people to go and start anew, and then there's the negative connotation where the United States is a giant crusader, sort of sticking its fingers into all of the wrong business, and kind of overstaying its welcome pretty much everywhere it goes.
Yeah.
Different people, different opinion about America.
Yeah.
When I lived in the Ukraine, the America, it was my dream. And I thought that I never see America. And now I live here.
Yeah.
It means something.
Yeah.
I think in most of the countries, you say it is dream for a lot of people live here.
Definitely.
But when we live here anyway, it is a lot of problems for us, especially for people who just start new life.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to talk about that because
Yeah, but if people work hard, okay, it will be easy and easy.
Well,
I see like in England, like I don't know how it is in Ukraine actually, but like with your family, do you understand when I say like a class, like your class of a family, like your level or whatever? In England, that's like really strong, and so like if you're born, not really like here, like if you were born into like lower class, like you're gonna stay in lower class.
Do you know what kind
Like
of
you're
like
stuck.
economic system they have today, like capitalism, socialism?
In England, well, I mean, well, kind of what I'm trying to describe is just like my mom's family is from a very poor family, and so when she was born, I mean, she was thinking like I'm gonna work in a bakery the rest of my life, like that was like her kind of life plan. But then like she met my dad, and my dad has this amazing job, and so we got to move to America, and now like we go and visit my grandparents, and they have like one room in their house, and like we have to sleep on the floor when we go visit them.
There's more people that don't care and are selfish and don't help than people that actually do. And since the people that actually do are like overruled by the people that don't, there's not really much they can do. Even if they do care and they do try and they group up and try to make something happen, it's kind of hard to do that to millions and billions of people, or a whole country or whatever.
I think like as new technologies are coming out, could be getting better, but it could also be getting worse. Like Erica said, with the obesity thing or and stuff like that. I mean nobody wants to be seen there's only a part of America that's obese, not like the rest of it.
Little bit more loud. Carol, little bit more loud.
Everyone I think everyone not everyone is obese, so I think that's not assumedly fair that they automatically think that everyone is obese.
I think that your generation has a lot to learn about things that happened in the previous generations, because it appears to me that your generation has life very easy compared with the previous generations. I personally happen to live from very turbulent times during the Second World War, being deported to Siberia, coming back from Siberia, going to different countries, finally settling at the U.S., which is a wonderful country. And I made it, so to speak, the American dream. I have a house, I have a family, I have a car, I have good food, I have where to sleep. When I get up, news in the world are not as happy as they were expected to be.
Yeah.
Times are getting bad again.
Yeah.
So my message to the new generation is learn from our older generation experiences and don't take things for granted, because things can change in a jiffy, like they say.
Yeah.
And things could be very tough if you don't watch out, if you don't if you don't make the right decisions. Although you don't never know whether you made the right decision or not.
I feel like what we value as important has changed. I feel as though our generation views more of the materialistic items as important than the moral aspects and the emotional links between people, instead of, as past generations I've noticed, living with my grandma, I've noticed the importance of family and more of the interaction and making sure you open up with different people instead of just buying something and that fills this void of what your emotional output should be. So that's how I feel our generation is doing.
Yeah, because we're not living in the past, but we can learn from them, and that's that kind of ties in with the question is what I want other generations to know about this generation is that we didn't just continue along the same line of mistakes, but like we learned from past, and so we can apply proper precautions. I think we distinguish ourselves because of how immediate everything is in our culture. I think as technology increases, like news comes and goes as quickly, equally. So things become relevant out of nowhere, and then they also become obsolete really quick.
There's just so much information out there, different ideas, and I don't know the right word, but different ideas and propositions and stuff thrown around, and like with the social media and the internet and the news and all the different news channels, it's just you have access to all of it all at once, and it's all kind of thrown in your face that I just kind of try to shy away. It's a little too overwhelming. There's too much information being thrown around. You can't always sift through what's real and what's not. I think so, because like when you're out to dinner with like people from an older generation, then like it's face-to-face communication and talking about real-world problems and what they did today and other people, and not
What's happening on your phone.
what Michael's Facebook status was 10 minutes ago. And